Hey everybody, welcome to the live stream class tonight. We are going to be talking about the seven chakras. Talk about a spiritual topic. You don't get much more spiritual than that, and that's why it's good to, if you're going to get into the chakras, it's good to be, a long-haired hippie like Leah and myself. Welcome, welcome to the program, everybody. My name is Dr. Bear. This is Leah Schaefer. We do this class every week.
Hello.
Introducing you to the meditation, and we're so glad that you could join us this evening or later on, as the case may be. So we're going to talk about, the seven chakras is the body's energetic system. And, we're coming at this from philosophical and spiritual tradition of Sufism. And Sufism has a really interesting view of the energy centers of the chakras. And that view is that the center of the energetic system, the core of it, is the heart center, the heart chakra. So we don't see that as like, oh, that's just one of the centers, right? So just to review this, right? The centers are your crown chakra. That's like if you see an old painting and people have light coming right around their head, they have a halo or something like that, right? That's an artistic representation of this energy center, right? We're going to be talking about that tonight. Then there's the third eye, right? Okay, so third eye is right in the center of the skull. You go here, where those intersect, right? This is the third eye. And then we have the throat chakra, we have the heart chakra, we have the solar plexus, we have the sexual center, and we have the root chakra. And so we're going to be talking about each one of these and focusing on each one of these over the next 7 weeks of the class. But if you miss one, that's okay. We'll try to make each one accessible if we can.
You're going to be out of balance if you miss one.
Yeah, oh my God, don't miss one. Awful things will happen. That's how we sell our meditation, as fear.
With threats. Yeah.
Okay, what will happen if you guys don't meditate? Well, you'll be that much further from your potential. And isn't that punishment enough? Really?
Jeez. We're starting off great tonight. We're just kidding, everyone. We accept you exactly how you are.
We accept you, but you will be that much further from your potential. I mean, both of those. We're getting a good cop, bad copy here, basically. I mean, this is how we roll. Whatever we have to do to get you guys to meditate, we'll do it.
Whatever we got to do, we're gonna do it.
So, if we think about what is the heart, right, the center of our being, our emotional center, what about this is timeless? What about this is eternal? What about this is perfect? Usually when we think about our hearts, everything that's there pretty much is bound up with time and space, right? I mean, like what do you value? What do you love? What do you care about? What are you longing for, right? These things are very transitory, right? Like, a lot of times when we think about the spiritual, we think about things that are lasting, right? Things that are eternal. Like how can we say that the heart, right, this center of feeling and emotion, is somehow connected to, like, the crown center is your connection to the unseen world of spirit, right? And this is the kind of most transcendent of the centers. It's one that's actually outside of your body, right, a little bit above your head. So this is a symbol of the subtlety of this center, right? And so one thing for us to think about here is, what is that aspect in our hearts, or that quality of our hearts that is eternal, And Leah and I were talking about this a little bit before the show. Why is it that something from like 1,000 years ago can still move us today? I mean,
Mhm.
nothing about the context is the same there, right? Like, but feeling is feeling, right? I mean, like it, and it's the same feeling, like we can relate to that because we feel it, right? What does that mean, right? I mean, there's something here that is beyond ourselves, and beyond our time and our place. And, like we, of course, we feel our emotions, right? Like, fall in love with somebody, you're going to
Mm.
long for them, right? You only want to see them right now. You know what I mean, right? Like, how is that eternal? Like forget about eternity. I want that right now. um,
Mm.
but long is universal. I mean, like this is part of the human condition, and even something in our soul and spirit is longing for what, right? To experience life, to unfold our potential, to become who we truly are. So, this is something we want to
Mm.
think about as we're going through these chakras and thinking about them and trying to experience what is this energy, right? What is the nature of this
Mm.
center? And what is it reveal about, who I am, right?
Mhm.
And hopefully we want to do more than just talk about it, right? We want to actually experience it. Um,
Yeah.
but the reason we start off talking about it is because we want to have some kind of container to put these experiences in, or some kind of way of understanding this.
Yeah, we're a very mind-based society, so it's important for us to try to wrap our minds around things a little bit first.
Yeah,
Um,
even when those things
and
are kind of incomprehensible, right?
yes, especially then.
Especially that.
Um, and so I really love the chakra system. I use it a lot in whenever I work with my individual clients. Is that I can really feel like in my own body, like so because it's very much a part of your own body. So it's like it's not something, even though it sounds ethereal, like it's connected to you. It is literally you, and so it's not something separate from you. And when you can feel it in your own body, that gives you the tools, especially whenever you learn how to master your breath, which you're doing with us, obviously. And so, with your breathing techniques, you can literally feel and work with these parts of your body, and therefore you can work with these parts of your subtle body, and your energy body. And so I just absolutely love the chakra work. And so I'm super excited to be doing it with us tonight.
Mm.
And with the crown chakra in particular, so as Asatar was saying, as heart-centered practitioners, we really feel that the heart encompasses everything, right? That or it's like, when you think about the heart and the heartbeat, like it's circulating all the nutrients, all the oxygen through your whole system, right? So, what would it be doing energetically as well? Like everything that's energetic is going to be mimicked physically, right? And so, so in any case, with the crown chakra, the thing I'm most excited about it, I love consciousness. I love Jung, Jungarian psychology. And it's this idea of kind of this connection with the stream of consciousness. So it's not as much as a little bit difficult to discern within ourselves, because it's like the mind is giving us like the rational thought and like the ability to have like mental clarity, but it's more of an ethereal connection with consciousness, and the stream of consciousness, as Jung would talk about. But we don't want to just like analyze the stream. We want to have an actual experience of it. We want to jump in and get wet and then learn how to swim basically from there. And so, but the reason that that's important, to do and to learn and to have this connection with your own crown center, is because there is a constant almost conversation or relationship between your unique individual self, which can never be replicated again, and life itself. So life as a whole, like life as a web. So this relationship between the web of life and your unique individual self allows life to evolve. It's this interplay, it's this balance between the two things. And so, in order for you to kind of act your part out in this kind of huge play of life. You need to be able to orient yourself toward what's happening with this ethereal life. And then the art can come through you that you so long to create, whatever that is. Like, so you could be a scientist, and like your, you know, so-called art or work is going to be numbers. You can tell I know a lot about science, data and numbers. I'll leave that to the scientists. But yeah, I think you understand my point. Is like, doesn't matter like what your contribution is going to be. Like, you need to be able to tune in to kind of this like orientation of what's happening in the larger spectrum of life itself.
Very true.
Would you like to add anything? Would you like to add anything to that before we meditate, Mr. Bear?
Well, like
Dr. Bear?
before we can change anything, we need to have a good assessment of where we are, you know,
Yeah.
and that requires, you know, being open to knowing, right? Like, you know, being
Yeah.
willing to listen, being willing to experience, be willing to say, "Hey, here I am," you know, and it's like we often don't give ourselves the space, and we're like, you know, fuck that, right? I know where I want to be, you know, we're very focused on that, you know. But before you can get there, right, you gotta be where you are. So with that set of cliches and platitudes, I will now turn it back to you, Leah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So that's it. Made me think of what you just said. Made me think of like how, yeah, like having an open mind is a good indicator of an open crown chakra. Like being able to be open-minded, basically, like to new ideas and new information. And so, like when we think about our Apple laptops, or you know, maybe you're a PC user. And I don't have a bias at all, but but you have to upgrade it, you know, like every however many years you can go. You can only go like so many years without actually upgrading it, right? Why do you think like you're any different? Like, we need to upgrade ourselves constantly. In order to upgrade ourselves constantly, we need to have an open mind. Okay, so with all of that chattiness, let's go ahead and meditate. Move your body as you're ready. Close your eyes. And we're going to start with our hearts. So deep belly breathing, so deep, full breathing. And you have to allow yourself, your whole body to orient to this full breathing. It takes a little bit of time to start to sink in. So give yourself that space and that time. And right now, it's like you're just focusing, you're just concentrating, and you're turning your concentration from the outside world to the inside world. And you're concentrating on allowing your breath to become fuller and deeper. So I always imagine water filling up a glass. It's as if your breath streams into you and moves all the way to the depth of your body and starts filling up from the bottom up. And you usually think that your exhalation is complete before it actually is. And so you really make an effort to squeeze out all the last bit of breath at the end of your exhalation, really giving everything you have, making space for something new. New life to come through. You know, it's really important with Heart Rhythm meditation that we have these cosmic experiences while we're still in our body. We find that that is extraordinarily effective for immense change, immense realization. And so find your heartbeat however you can. Maybe that's feeling your heartbeat as you breathe. Maybe that's placing your hand over your heart or one hand on your wrist, finding your favorite pulse point. But I really want you to try to listen for your actual heart, even if you have a pulse point. Really listen for your actual heart. I promise it's there. So you're still doing full breathing in and full breathing out. That you tuned yourself to listening to your heart and your heartbeat. Really great leaders have often been crowned. You know, I'm not talking about the people that stole a crown, but I'm talking about the people that were given a crown, right? Really great leaders. And why could they lead so well? There was something about their level of consciousness that they could tap into something greater than themselves, something bigger than themselves. Life. Life has this unfathomable vastness to it. We don't want you to get lost in that vastness, and that's why you stay anchored in your heart, feeling your heartbeat, feeling your body. As you start to listen, I want to invite you as you deeply breathe and as you stay connected with your center at the same time, I want you to start to listen. Just listening openly to everything around you, anything you can hear. It's this listening without expectation. It's more of an opening up of the senses. I'm going to ask you to do a few things with your breath that's a little bit out of the box. But I find it really, really effective. I had this, I went through a lot with a concussion one time, and so I know a lot about like being able to heal that basically my brain, right? But we're going to go even a little bit higher. And so you want to concentrate on where a crown would rest on top of your head, even though you're still feeling your heartbeat and breathing full deep breath. And as you inhale, inhale from the front of the crown all the way to the back. And I'm doing that on my left side as I inhale. And then exhaling from the back of the crown to the front, making a circle. We're just going to do that a few breaths just to get you a sense of this part of your body, this part of you. And you can help to expand that feeling as you breathe along this circle at the top of your head. By continuing to listen openly, open-mindedly. Almost as if you're trying to hear the stars sing. Good. And then return to, so keep this feeling of your crown center, return to your heart, deep belly breathing. Not that you left your heart, but you can only focus so much. So returning more of the focus to your heart now, recentering. And then we're going to move into the air breath. So air breath is in and out of your mouth, slightly opened up mouth. Stay anchored with your heartbeat. Your heartbeat is keeping you in the center of your being while you're opening up your crown. There's a certain level of freedom that comes with an openness of our mind. Like, there's a certain level of freedom in the sense of curiosity. We no longer have the feeling like we know everything or everything is for certain. But we become curious about whatever it is that's happening. We start really listening from the space of curiosity. And one of the descriptions I've heard of the crown chakra was of the lotus flower, a 1,000-petal lotus flower that was upside down on top of our head. And so we're just going to use that to help us start to bring some of this connection that you've opened up, some of this ethereal connection that we've opened up to, back down into our body. So I just want you to imagine, and if you don't like this idea of the lotus flower, it's okay. The main point is to connect with some form of ethereal energy. But if you like to, imagine this lotus flower above your head. And I just want you to have the sense of like, what would it smell like? And it's that sweetness, even though it's more of an imagination, it's that sweetness. If you can just get a glimpse of that, that I'd like you to allow yourself with your next exhalation to trickle down over your skin, maybe even down through your spine. And again, it might not really be something that connects with you, the image of the flower. You can even think of how the light of all the stars are just shining right down onto you right now, all the time. But I'm just trying to give you a glimpse, a taste of the energy of unity consciousness, of something that's timeless, something that's eternal. And then even going so far as saying that has an energetic quality. And once you touch on that in your meditation, the next trick is to exhale it down onto and into your own body, your unique individual self, your body, your being. So wherever you are, just start to breathe as you exhale from the crown down through your whole body, and try to intricately weave the energies of your breath through your whole body, making their way all the way again down into the root. Like no part of you is left unnourished, untouched, even if it takes 100 breaths from now. Because we don't want to just open, we want to integrate. And then wherever you are in your practice, make sure you can still sense and feel your heart. And the connection of your heart to this aspect of timelessness. And then as you're ready, moving your body and opening up your eyes and just really thanking your body, thanking your heart, and thanking yourself for existing. Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
Ooh. I don't know about you. I was feeling that one. God.
Yeah, me
Ooh.
too.
Thank you, everybody.
Mm.
Hmm.
World of
Hmm.
spirit, it's its own world, and yet it's like penetrating everything, you know. And
Mhm.
you get a taste of that, you get a touch of that, and it's like so invigorating, and on a level that it's just very hard to explain, but you like it's as nourishing as water when you're really thirsty, and we need that
Mhm.
connection um, to our eternal side. It's hard to make sense of our limited individuality without having the proper perspective, like that there's
Mhm.
an aspect uh, to our being that is timeless and perfect and infinite. And when we don't have a strong sense of that, um, it's easy to feel disconnected. Uh, and
Mhm.
like I look around and I see that a lot, that um, that sense that of disconnection. Um,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
we might not say and do the things we do, right, if we felt that, um, so
And I feel it too, like that disconnection as like being really kind of trapped in my own limitations, like it's almost like the walls of my limitations will just close in. And I see that with other people too. It's like something bad happens or whatever, and like maybe life isn't going toward the trajectory that you thought it would. And just like that moment of like connecting to something more eternal is like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Maybe I'm more free than I realized. What's it say?
lovely
Thank
comment here.
you.
Great. Nice to see you.
We love having you.
Yeah,
The stars in back.
the
Oh.
stars are part of us, like we have this
Mm,
transcendent quality within us, and like what is
mm,
it about that um you know space, the night sky, the moon, the sun, right? These you know huge forces of nature, right? Like
mm.
something that reminds us of our own infinite qualities, our infinite self, and that how
Mm.
rare is it that we're in touch with those? We mostly are in touch with like, oh, these are our obstacles, these are our limitations, this is what I can't do, can't,
Yeah,
can't, can't, like that.
exactly.
Oh, how
Yeah, and
tiresome
if you
for our
think about
spirits.
it, yeah, yeah, and if you think about it, it's like kind of like closing the walls in, and so you can really kind of open the whole thing up, like blow the lid off, so to speak,
Yeah,
when you're stuck in that space, right? Yeah.
and feeling stuck is such a, you know, like like no one likes that, right? Like we all want to make progress in some way, like whatever it is. We might have different understandings of what that is, right? But whatever that is to you, right? Like feeling blocked, feeling stuck, feeling limited. Um, Sometimes just the experience of spirit alone is enough to give you that sense of like, oh wow, there's a lot of possibilities. There's a
Mhm.
lot of energy moving, and energy can move in many different ways. And sometimes that's tuning into that, can be helpful, right? Because um, a lot of this stuff is like psychological, right? Like we feel trapped, and then we're unhappy, whatever. You know, um,
Mhm.
even without changing the external circumstances. Sometimes we can, see possibilities in it.
Yeah, and I think that that's linked to that feeling of that connection or that connection. Like some a lot of time I think about connection going sideways, like, the people in my life, the people in my heart, which is also part of like the larger, you know what I mean, the web of life, so to speak, right? Um, but it's like when you having that sense of connection to spirit or that connection to this huge cosmic life, right? So,
Yeah. And there's a nice metaphor here that you used in the meditation, which is like this metaphor of like the actual crown, and like what does that suggest, in the like the cultural milieu that we're in, right? These qualities of nobility and of
mhm,
responsibility and dignity, and what is it that lifts you up, what makes you feel like you're wearing that crown, um,
mhm,
and just that we want to focus it on, not on the external, right? It's not about royal blood or what European feudalism. No,
right,
it's about like
right.
what are the inner qualities that or what is the energy that makes you, right, uplifted, that makes you inspired, that makes you feel, kingly or queenly or noble or whatever, like what those qualities mean on a spiritual level, right? So just want to make that clear to everybody. We're not not seeking a return to the old feudal
No.
order here.
Yeah, and in fact, when we feel kind of trapped in materialism, it can be a sign that the crown chakra is not open. When we're trapped in our own materialism, we can be very trapped in our lower centers. And that's an indication that that connection is kind of closed off for us at that moment.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Well, I want to talk a little bit about, the energies and the flow of energies. We a lot of times the way that the chakra system is taught is in the context of a practice called Kundalini, um, and this focuses on the chakras going from lower to higher and taps into this rising flow of energy that's in the human being. And this is good. This is a powerful energetic flow to tap into. Um, and yet Sufism has like a different orientation, right? So Sufism has a focus. Again, it's on the heart, right? So we're not trying to move consciousness up and out, right? We're not trying to escape body. We're not trying to negate things. We're trying to integrate. We're trying to become whole. We're trying to bring spirit into our center, and into ourselves to experience that in life, as opposed to, you know, spacing out or becoming dissociated or all of the things that can happen, don't always happen, but can happen with that style of, transcendent or upward kind of meditation. Um, and this is not to put anything down, right? These meditation traditions have been around a long time, have a lot of value.
Mhm.
They're just different from one another, and Sufism focuses a lot more on this downward flow of energy, which is love. It's ishq in in
Mhm.
Arabic, and so we're we're trying to teach us in a different way, work with us in a different way. And so this is why we're like starting with this top of the energetic system and seeing if we can move in a downward fashion with this, right? So, and what do we mean by down? We mean this both energetically, like on a physical level, right? Like this is higher than this, right? Like, but also on a kind of level of subtlety versus concreteness. When we talk about the
Mm.
crown center, we're talking about a very subtle center, right? That it's outside of your body, even, right? It doesn't have, it's harder to sense something when it's not in your body, right? It's more subtle. And so one of the things we want to just talk about as a way of as a tool is the refinement of your breath, right? How fine is your breath versus how fine versus gross, right? Like this is the ways that Hazrat Khan talks about this, you know. So how do we make the breath fine? Um, well, this means a lower amount of flow, you know, like how much air is moving through your nose or mouth, right? Depending on how you're breathing, you know, like per second, right? So, like if we breathe like, right, like, okay, that's a lot of volume of air, right, per second. Um, but that's more of a gross kind of breath, right? It's all coming out in a hurry. It makes a sound, you know. Um, and what is the opposite of that, right? Making the breath very quiet, very slight, right? And you know, in order to breathe fully and do this, because we still want you, you know, use your abdominal muscles, but breathe in this whole region, right, um, from your pelvis to your collarbone, right? Like you should feel all this movement happening as you breathe. Well, how do you combine that with making the breath subtle and refined? Um, this is an art form. This is a skill. This takes practice, training, and practice. You know, um, I
Mhm.
feel like I'm constantly discovering new things there. You know, um,
Mhm.
so this is something to think about, right? We want to be able to. We want to like. We're really trying to perfect the breath, to tune the breath to the situation. You know, and so and this exercise or this focusing on subtle energy, focusing on the crown chakra, that's a good time to try to just really refine your breath, right? So make it smooth, make it quiet, don't have any pauses in it, right? Allow that subtle flow to happen in your breath. Um, and you know, this is a very powerful tool, right? So
Mhm.
something to think about as we're trying this out. The way that you make your breath has tremendous significance for what happens to you energetically, right? So this is
Mhm.
why we focus on it so much, right? Because it's such a primary tool.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
It's just I just want to just amplify that it's like, on any given moment. So there's people who can read a breath like a fingerprint. Like your breath is unique to you actually, and on any given day, like it's going to be different. So like you can tell when you practice consistently, like, oh, my breath is really off today. So it's never going to be, it's a living thing. I mean, you're a living thing and your breath is living as well. And so it's never this like concrete experience. And so even though it's like we breathe all the time, we breathe every day, mastering the breath is something entirely different. So just to amplify what you're saying.
Absolutely, and you know, a lifelong effort for sure. Um,
Mhm.
well, so let's practice a little bit more. Then we'll take a upright meditation posture. I'm noticing my back is hurting a little bit, so I'm trying to find a good posture that is not
Mm.
triggering that. I'm tuning into the breath and working on making your breath deep. That is, allowing your belly to expand as you breathe in and contract as you breathe out, making your breath slow, making your breath smooth, no pauses or interruptions in your breath. Allow your breath to just flow like a river. Open up your rib cage. Feel the expansion of your entire torso. So you start the breath in your belly and then allow it to expand upwards. And on the exhalation, you contract your abdominal muscles. You squeeze out all the breath, breathing fully. Make your breath rhythmic. Tune into your heartbeat and count the same number of beats on the inhalation as you do on the exhalation. Now work on refining your breath. Now, if your breath is going to be, there are different ways of refining it. You can have a small breath that uses a, very low volume that is very refined, but we don't want that, right? We want your breath to be two kind of contradictory and maybe paradoxical things, but that is to be powerful and also to be subtle. So we can do this, right? The subtlety, we can tune into that by making the breath fine. And the power, we find that by making the breath big, making the breath full. Now, the challenge here is that if you breathe out all the way, you're going to want to like really let the breath go and, you know, let it rush in, right? You have to control that, right? Control that with your abdominal muscles. When you get to the end of your exhalation, you engage in your abdominal muscles. You have to keep them engaged somewhat as you turn it around and start to inhale so that you don't just whoosh, rush it, let it rush in, right? Because that's not smooth, right? That's not controlling that flow. That's not keeping it subtle. So it's a challenge, right? To keep that focus on your breathing mechanism. Very, very difficult. But you focus on it and you just feel what is happening here. Slow, refined, deep, smooth breathing. Breathe in and out through your heart, through the center of your chest. Feel that your heart is receiving energy as you breathe in, and your heart is radiating energy as you breathe out. And the energy of your heart is like a ball of light, and that light goes on and on. Light holds your whole body, a sphere of light that is centered in your chest and radiates outward. And now tune into this part of your body, right? Tune into the center line of your body. Like when you imagine sitting up straight and you feel that thread, it's just lifting you as if from the top of your head, right? So you focus on that point and the energy around that point, right at the very top of your head. So now this is in addition to all of the other things that I've told you to do. And if it feels like a lot, it is a lot. I'm asking a lot of you right now. So whatever part of this you're able to do is good. Don't feel like you're being judged here. This is the challenge. Tune into that part of your body, and then right above that, right? You might feel just a kind of subtle sensation here. Now, if you like, you can change your breathing to breathe in and out through your mouth. That is the air breath, focusing on this most subtle of the four elements. The air element helps us tune into the vastness, the subtlety, the fineness, to experience what is spirit. How do we connect to that world of spirit? What feelings arise in our hearts when we ponder that? When we ponder the eternal, the perfect, the timeless, the infinite. Notice what feelings come up in your heart around this. Notice what sensations arise in your body, what thoughts arise in your mind. All of that is part of the experience. It's very often the case that we feel wounded in terms of our connection to spirit, that our spirit is perfect and cannot be violated, but we can forget about it. We can get so wrapped up in life. We can compromise. We can say, "Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that." Right? We can be so awed by the obstacle and limitations that we forget we are perfect, infinite, timeless beings. What would it feel like to be in touch with that reality? To know that deeply in your heart? To feel that as a kind of undercurrent, even with the stormy seas and, the feelings in your heart change, of course. You go through the struggles of life, but what is that deeper thread? What is that deeper current? Connects you to the one being, to all of creation. Notice how it feels to be connected. Or perhaps you're not feeling that. Perhaps you feel that pain that comes from feeling disconnected. Whatever is real to you, we don't put any shoulds on this situation. You're just exploring now, trying to get a sense of what is this energetic center. How can it help me get a sense of possibility, a sense of the unlimited? We already have such a clear sense of how we're limited. Perhaps you begin to feel the beating of your heart is more than just your heart. The beating of your heart sends a rhythm through your energetic system. And this is true. It appears in your magnetic field. The magnetic field goes on forever. So it is literally true on a physical energetic level, that part of the energetic frequencies that we can measure. It is true that the energy of your heart goes on forever. What would it mean to tap into that reality? How might that change your sense of who you are? An infinite, timeless being who has come here to experience life, to have a mind, to have a heart, to experience love and longing and loss, to feel pleasure, to feel pain, to experience all that life has to offer. To grow, to develop, to make progress towards your potential. All right, and when you're ready, then come out of the meditation and return to your center. I hope you never left, of course, but we return to the here and now. And,
So I just want to thank you for that meditation. It was very freeing, like it was like I could feel something about staying with the breath and like really trying to keep the breath so fluid helped me to stay like more connected in my body as we experienced the crown energy with you. And your words in particular, they just really started to free a lot up in me that I didn't even know. Like, I was talking about like the walls earlier coming in, and it's like we get so used to like our own walls that we forget that we even have them, right? And like I could just
yeah,
feel them starting to kind of dissolve around my heart. So I just really want to thank you.
thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us this evening.
Yeah.
Really, really appreciate those of you who come here live, and and of course everyone else who comes later. I hope you guys enjoy the program as well. And we're here every week at 7 o'clock Pacific time. And of course, if you'd like to support the show, Patreon page for that, which is in the link below. So thanks again for joining us, and
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
everyone.